Hello, entrepreneurs, dreamers, business owners, and happy people with high hopes. Welcome to Cashflows with your host, Cash Matthews.
All right. Hello there. This is Cash Matthews coming to you from the podcast called Cashflows. But you already knew that, I suppose. And I'm your host today, and we are here to explore some of those issues that can make life better. And I think in the pursuit of these things in business and in life, that we often get stuck, and it's hard to really be in pursuit of these goals and dreams. And often it's nice to have somebody that we can copy off of. And so we bring in people from the local community that are actually doing things. They're not just talking a good game, and we like to copy off of them. And that is a concept that we called Fire, Aim, Ready. And that is the synopsis of Cashflows. So I think you're going to love it here. We all have these beautiful dreams and goals and ambitions, and too often those things get stuck behind some invisible wall where we just never pull the trigger, and life is ready, aim, 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 and we never fire. And so we are a Fire, Aim, Ready organization, and so that's Cashflows. And now that we are ready, let's meet the inimitable Kenneth Bauckham. Kenneth, hello. Good morning.
Hello, how's it going?
You know, we are well today. We've got Ann Gardner in today, a friend of ours from the Business Owners Networking Group. We'll introduce her in a minute, but wanted to hear from you today. Things going well in your world?
So far, so good. Yeah, having a good time.
This is a fun thing we do.
It is.
You know, I feel a little guilty that we're having this much fun doing this thing.
Like sometimes it's not allowed.
It's not,
Like, why are you having so much fun? What do you mean you enjoy your job? What?
Wow.
What?
Are you supposed to be having fun?
I feel like we are.
Yeah, I'm having a good time. Well, speaking of fun, last night after dinner, I turned on my Commodore 64 computer.
Right.
And I was had a new AOL disc show up in my mail, so I had an extra 17 minutes of dial-up.
Yeah.
And we were, so I'm going to take that moment, get in a chat room. I've got some buddies that I meet in a chat room every so often.
Right.
And my buddies, and I'm not going to give you their full name, but the Red Baron.
Sure. Yep.
His first name's Dennis. These are real people. These are not made up names. Stu Bob.
Right.
And then my buddy Hink Dog. I see Hink Dog all the time.
Hink Dog?
Yeah. And we're all in a chat room together chatting. And another one of our buddies came in.
Right.
Yeah, Vinny Bada Boom.
Okay.
That's what we call him. I know that sounds made up, but that's his nickname. And
it sounds made up.
And they're trying to, so these guys are all fans of Kenneth's, and Kenneth has quite a following out there in the world.
Shucks.
And turns out it was the cops. You were going 5 over.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But Vinny Bada Boom wanted to ask you a question. He had heard a little bit about you, and I wrote it down, and so I wanted to read this to you before we get going with our show with Ann Gardner here. Here's the note from Vinny Bada Boom. Hey, Kenneth.
Yes.
What's a guy like you doing in a nice place like this?
Oh, man, that's so kind of him.
That was his question.
Vinny Bada Boom. Did I get
Vinny
that
Bada
right?
Boom, yeah.
Vinny Bada Boom. All right. Well, thank you.
Bada Boom's the last name.
Oh, last name. Yeah. Okay. So Vinny or Mr. Bada Boom.
Mr. Bada Boom.
Mr. Bada Boom. Yeah. So, well, I really appreciate his interest in my my daily life story here that we have going on. But so here's the deal. You're an author. Lots of people are authors. I am actually working on a memoir.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Are you ready for this? Here's the title. Adventures in Grocery Stores.
Yeah.
It's my life. It's how I get around.
Adventures in grocery stores.
Yeah,
Okay.
a variety of different stores.
Right.
But I'm just having an adventure, getting my groceries, whatever it is.
Instead of calling them like chapter 1 and 2, you call them aisle 1 and 2.
Yeah. As a matter of fact,
I like what you're doing with that.
Yeah. And there is a cleanup on aisle 7, so we'll just keep an eye out for that.
All right.
Big kicker, right smack in the middle of the book.
Okay,
so,
that's a cliffhanger right there.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, very cool. Well, good luck with that, by the way.
I appreciate it.
And as you go on your way, I would encourage you to seek legal representation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, we have Ann Gardner here today. And Ann Gardner works with a company called Legal Shield.
Ooh.
And if you want to find Ann, it is AnnGardner.ladiesofjustice.com. And there's an E on Ann, isn't there?
There is an E on it.
Ann with an E at the end of the Ann.
Right.
Well, I'm doing a horrible job explaining this.
You know, on A-E-I-O-U and sometimes Y.
Yes. Ann with an E. AnnGardner.ladiesofjustice.com.
.com.
Sing it. All right. Well, Ann, thank you for being here today. You're We've been looking forward to having you on the show.
Well, I've been looking forward to be here.
I'm sorry, let's see your hat real quick. We couldn't fit your
We
hat.
couldn't fit my
I told her
hat.
to wear a hat, but then we forgot about the headphones. And
Styling.
okay, I'm glad we recorded that for posterity.
So save that for future use.
I'll just take full responsibility for messing up. Anyway, so we need
That's
to put.
okay. I'll contact my attorney.
We
He'll
need
call
to
me.
thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Gonna get one of those letters.
I've had a few. Anyway, well, we're very glad you're here.
I'm
and
very
we
glad
are
to be here.
very fond of the Legal Shield company and organization. And I've been a customer for 23 years. And so I know a lot about it, but we're excited that you're here talking about it. Before we do, I want to tell our listeners and viewers how you and I met.
Okay.
And I think the answer has been the same for about everybody on these podcasts,
Right.
but at the B.O.N.G group.
At the B.O.N.G
Tell
group.
us about your experience there.
My experience has been amazing. Just the camaraderie and the friendships that have developed.
Yeah.
We're just a big family, and I couldn't ask for a better group of people.
Somebody the other day said we're a big family, and Cash, you're the weird uncle.
But wait, no, aren't you the father?
Well, I don't know. But that person said, "Oh yeah, well, this is a big family, and you're just the weird uncle." I'm like, and I was like, was that a compliment?
I don't know what to say to that.
Because we all have that weird uncle, And anyway, but I could be both. I could be both the father and the weird uncle.
In Arkansas.
Yeah. Okay. Family tree goes straight up, no branches. Well, very cool. Well, so I know I think the number one thing that we've heard from B.O.N.G members is that they've just made friends.
Exactly.
And at various stages of life, it
Yeah.
can be a little tough to make friends.
It can be.
And,
Very much so.
some of the
Especially if you're an introvert.
Yeah. Oh, and are you an introvert?
I'm an extreme introvert.
You know, this is going out all over the internet. Like 8 or 9 people are going to watch this.
8 or 9.
Like 8
I'm
or
easy
9.
with 8 or 9.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
we're going to
I
start with 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And we'll get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. We got to get those numbers up.
Rookie numbers.
We're working on that. All right. Well, Ann Gardner ladiesofjustice.com, where you can learn a little bit about this phenomenal product, this idea called Legal Shield. And I want to talk about that in a minute. I want to talk
Okay.
about you for the first few minutes,
All right.
so that our listeners and viewers can just get to know you.
Okay.
Because the human none of us, we're not our jobs.
No, we're not.
That's a thing we do.
And I'm thankful I'm not my job because I've had several jobs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're not our jobs. We're not our failures. But you have had an interesting life, and I want to get to know you, the human, and so that our listeners can. And I think what you find when you introduce people and we start to go, here are my mess ups and here's my fear. That people listening really identify more with that than they do. Here's my success,
Right.
and I'm going to get to that story as well. But let's talk about yourself and your journey and how you came to be sitting in this seat here today.
Wow.
The stage is yours.
The stage is mine. Okay. I wasn't born in Oklahoma. I don't know if you can tell that or not, but I was not. I was actually born in Indiana.
Okay.
And we moved a lot growing up. We 4 different states during my school years.
Wow.
Moved to Oklahoma my senior year of high school.
Oh,
So
that's
not
a
only
nice
was it
time
my
to move.
first year of high school, it was my last year of high school.
Right.
And I feel that's why I became so introverted because,
Right.
You make friends, you move, and you have to start the process all over again.
Right.
So I think, that's probably why I'm so introverted.
And does that make you a little more self-reliant when you've had to go through that
Oh,
many schools?
yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. Well, keep going. I apologize for
No,
interrupting.
no worries.
there.
I appreciate that input. But yeah, so I'm gonna just went to college. I went to the University of Oklahoma
Oh, okay.
as a single mom with 3 kids.
Oh boy. All right.
So that was really stepping out of my comfort zone. When I was in my second semester at OU, my oldest son was diagnosed with a mental handicap. Well, my major was accounting. So I knew I had to change my major. So I changed it to education so I could be off work the same time he was out of school.
Right.
So I always revolved my life around my kids.
Right.
And, they're the big reasons that I do what I do. And when when I was laid off the second time in my life, I decided I needed to become my own boss.
Okay,
Because
laid off a couple of
yeah,
times.
I was laid off twice. I worked for WorldCom.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Bernie Evers, class of 2002.
All right.
And then the last one was Walgreens. They restructured
Right.
and eliminated my position.
Yeah, they sell drugs.
Yeah, they do.
Are we allowed to say that?
Well, it is accurate.
Really
technically.
delicious, excellent drugs.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And legal.
And
le-
legal.
Yeah, I
legal.
mean, that's just a small part of it.
Yeah,
But
that's the big part. It's
They also
legal.
sell chia pets, for the record.
Chia.
I don't miss those at all.
Well, so let's keep going on your career. Laid off a couple of times,
Mhm.
and you're really left with no choice but
But to rely on myself again.
to become an entrepreneur type
Become- yeah.
person. Wow, did you ever see yourself being an entrepreneur?
Never.
That's why you went to college.
That's why I went to
and got
college,
the good
so
jobs.
I could get the good job, get the good pay, and that's why education in Oklahoma. Yeah, you're really winner there.
Yeah, so the world caught up with you though,
Yes, they
and
did.
you began to develop a dream. And
Mm-hmm.
where did that dream take you when it came to entrepreneurship?
Oh,
Like I know you've looked at a couple things and been
Mhm.
involved in a couple of things, and I know you've been with Legal Shield for quite a while.
yeah, this is my 4th year.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
most people don't stick it out a year in
no,
things.
they don't. No, because it's tough when you're an entrepreneur and you're relying basically on yourself to.
Yeah.
I'm the one that determines how much money I'm going to make or not make.
Speak to that for a minute, because I think that's one of the most beautiful concepts, in that you get paid what you're worth.
Exactly.
And that, those for me, those first few months, I wasn't worth much.
Exactly.
And the universe told me, hey, you're actually worth 0
Mm-hmm.
at the moment. Maybe you want to get more valuable. Like, how did you become more valuable? Like, I know there's a lot of training involved.
Stepping out of my comfort zone, personal development, training, reading books. I mean, I can't say enough about just reading books
Right.
and rereading books too. I mean, I used to think I've already read that. Why reread it?
Right.
And because the first time I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when it first came out,
Right.
and I was working in corporate America.
Hmm.
And it didn't really speak to me.
Probably hits you differently
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
corporate America did something to you
Right.
rather than for you.
Exactly.
Right.
And then when I reread it after becoming an entrepreneur, and I was, well, you need to read that book. I already did. Well, reread it. And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
That's right. That's one of our great
Yeah.
philosophies here.
Yeah.
There we go.
And so I was like, wow. And so then I reread How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Right.
And, it's just amazing the things that, you can just pick up that, you just kind of glossed over the first time.
I
you
kind of
read it.
liken that to the Bible, and I just
Mhm.
jokingly say, man, when did they put that in the Bible?
Yeah,
Right,
Right?
like-
Yeah.
You've read something multiple times, and then you reread it, and your situation at the time dictates your understanding of what
Mhm.
you're reading. And so I love to reread books. Is there one you're rereading right now, or anything you want to share?
No, right now I am reading Who Not How.
Who, Not How. Okay.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So that's with the book club that I'm in, that meets the second Tuesday of every month.
Got it.
So
So you're committed to reading. You're in a
I'm
book
committed.
club.
Yes, I'm in a book club,
All right.
and my team also has a book of the month.
Wow.
So sometimes I'm reading 2 books a month.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Nice.
I heard a statistic that the average adult doesn't read one book after high school.
Whoa.
I believe that.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Wow.
I heard that from Vinny Bada Boom.
I think that makes some of us above average, though. That's
Well-
good.
Well, yeah. Well, that's but good on you for reading. You have a favorite book?
Oh,
I love to ask
gosh.
that question.
That's so
That's how I'm
tough.
building my library.
My favorite book. There's so many. The Power of One More.
Power of One More. Who wrote that?
Right now,
That book on memory that we both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Is it Ed Milet?
Ed Milet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ed Milet wrote that. And I didn't just, I bought that book twice. I thought that's what the purpose of it was, the power of one more. But the second book I bought was the same as the first. Well, we're
You didn't
gonna.
learn anything but the second book that you didn't learn in the first book?
I actually do. Every time I reread a book, I have a way that I read books, and I don't know how you read books. I'd love to know, but I like to read it with a notepad
Oh, yeah.
and a yellow highlighter and a cup of coffee and my dog's at my feet. But that Starbucks turns out to frown on that. But and just really, I don't know. I almost try to study books.
Yeah.
I'll read the first 2 chapters first to see if it grabs me in any way. But
I have a journal that when I read a book,
oh,
I will write down notes in that journal. I'll put the title of the book and then all my notes, and then I can go back and read my notes.
yeah, get those little gold nuggets.
Mhm,
We're going to ask you a
exactly.
golden nugget at the end of this, like
Uh-oh.
something to give to all the entrepreneurs watching this show.
Yep.
Well, so this next question is loaded, and I'm really asking it to myself. But there have to be some key lessons that you have learned along the way in your career. What are some of the things you've learned that have genuinely benefited you?
Learn from the mistakes of others.
Oh,
Sitting down one-on-ones with other people, uh, it's just, and you just pick their brain and, what did you like, why did you start your business? What do you like best about it? Biggest struggles. I mean,
right. That's one of our
so,
favorite questions.
yeah,
And how did you overcome it?
exactly.
So, Ann Gardner,
Uh-oh.
what would you say is your biggest struggle, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, my biggest struggle is I'm still struggling. Um, is in my business, my biggest struggle is the follow up. Yeah. So, and I'm still struggling with that.
Hey,
It's
all you
just one
people
of
that
those,
Ann Gardner talked to, give her a call. Come on,
Right?
go halfway with us.
right?
Yeah, I mean that's the fortunes in the follow up.
It is. It is in the follow up, and it's like, is it too soon? Is it too late? Yeah. So,
I was always that guy that went, you know what? I'm going to talk to you about this, and at the end, I'm going to ask you, like if you like it or not, enough to have another conversation. And if you do, great. If you don't, great. But I am terrible at follow up, and I just tell people I'm terrible at follow up,
right.
which made me great at follow up. I followed up before I followed up at the first appointment, and to get permission, and just
And just
but
kept doing it.
and I see that, Kenneth, in
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship. A lot of entrepreneurs have with that follow up because we make up these stories. Oh, I'm bugging them. That's mine. Like, oh,
Right. Oh, yeah.
I don't want to bug them. They know my number. They'll find me. But everybody's got stuff going on, and we're all in motion, and it's hard to stop somebody in motion. So we'd love to have you back on at some point when you've mastered follow up and you can teach me how to do it.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Well, my degree is in education, so
Well, I mean, that's part of what you do with Legal
yeah.
Shield, though, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
educating.
part of the other side of the non-product side is team building.
Exactly.
What has that been like for you?
It's a struggle.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's just, I get one, and then, they don't do anything. And then, get another one, and,
right.
I don't know, I don't say, uh, they don't see the vision that I see.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can't force them to do something they don't want to do, or they're not comfortable doing.
Right. I think people get stranded in their situation a little bit, and if they only knew what it was like, to get paid on something over and over and over, where most people are trading hours for dollars,
Right.
work 8 hours, get 8 hours worth of dollars. But then when you stop working those 8 hours, that equation's over with.
Mm-hmm.
And with a product like Legal Shield that pays a residual, recurring renewal
Right.
income, like you're getting paid today on work you did 4 years ago.
And not to mention the leveraged income.
Yeah, leveraged income is when you have people doing it with you.
Mhm.
And, it's just such an interesting business model. I think people are afraid of that to a degree, not because it's network marketing style. I just think they're worried about whether they can do it or not.
I
And,
think so. And I think a lot of times, you're taught, get good grades in school, go to college, get a good job. And, that's the American way. And, it's like I saw this meme. It's like, that someone says, oh, I got the job. And, they got 100 likes. And then they said, oh, I started my own business. And they got 2 likes.
right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not as esteemed,
No.
these paths that the three of us in this tiny room have taken.
Right.
But there's a beauty in it is hard.
Yeah, it is
And
hard.
it does keep a lot of people up. But that is the beautiful part of it as well, is if you can figure out how to overcome, usually yourself,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
usually
Yeah.
the part that's hard, then it becomes easy.
Yeah.
And I want to applaud you for sticking to it.
Well, thank you.
Because, yes, it's hard, Ann, but so is working at a corporate job.
Oh,
So is
for
getting
sure.
laid off twice.
Getting laid
Mhm.
off
You know,
twice.
so is having children that need you at home. That's hard, and you have to figure out a path. But we all work towards that, and good on you for doing that.
Well, it's also hard to say, oh, I need time off, and or I need this, or I can't work these days, or I can't work these hours, and they're going, but we need you then, and so that's hard too. Is when
Okay, so
and
clarity moment, honesty moment. When people ignore when you're trying to give them help, and these are, and I am not picking on anybody. That's not my goal here at Cashflows. We're here to encourage, but doesn't it just kind of torque you a little bit when there's somebody griping about money,
mm-hmm.
and they're working so hard at their jobs and they're great people, and they've just been hypnotized perhaps into just ignoring anybody that has anything alternative.
Exactly.
I mean, okay, so my question was, do you want to punch them just a little bit? I mean, I'm more of a headlock, noogies kind of guy. Like, come on, man.
Well, I don't really have any upper body strength, but so I can bench press 300 or leg press 300 pounds. So I think I'd rather kick them than punch them.
Okay, well,
Okay.
that's a little more violent.
So
Yeah. I mean, but it gets the point across.
Yeah, I don't know. I love people, and but you can't want a good life for people more than
No.
they want it for themselves.
exactly.
And I have such respect for Legal Shield. We've used that product 23 years. We became a representative sort of accidentally,
Mm-hmm.
and it was never my job. I've had one career in the financial world, but Legal Shield was this kind of extra thing.
Yeah.
And just like people have a spare tire in their car, why don't they have a spare income?
No kidding.
Legal Shield was my spare income the last 23 years, and I was well over $100,000 extra dollars into my family, and I wasn't going to meetings, and I wasn't, I just, hey man, do you have your will done?
Right.
No. Do you know the death rate in America is right at 100%?
Right.
And I don't know. I think there's so many good adults, they just don't know how easy it is to take responsibility and take care of those things.
I don't think they do either.
And
It's death is one of the things that people don't like to talk about.
right.
And so they're like, well, if they don't want to talk about it, then,
Yeah, if we
we're not
don't,
thinking about it.
yeah,
It's not top of mind until something happens.
right.
And, then they're calling and they're going, well, how do I do this? Well, it's
Well, you
too
just
late.
build a time machine, go back 3 years,
Exactly. Yeah.
and well, I love what you're doing in the marketplace, and if I had my way, people would flock to you daily, and you would just be an order taker. But that's not how the world
That's
works.
not how the world works. No.
And so times we have
And-
to be creative
Mhm.
and work in ways, and you know what? I know you well enough now, and I appreciate you so much. But you would be networking even if you were done working.
Exactly.
I mean, you have been one of those out there meeting people and making friends and doing coffees and having book club.
hmm
And I think that's one of the attributes that makes you so special, is that the money part of building a business is nice, but you'd be doing this if there was no money.
For sure.
Yeah, very cool. So how do you stay current and productive and up to date in your current work? I mean, you got a lot on you.
I do have a lot on me.
Uh,
Our team has a Sunday call every Sunday night. So all our team gets together on Zoom from all 50 states and Canada.
Right.
So, and with just something that, stay top of mind. We have a first of the month, we have a kickoff that kind of explains what our incentives are for that month
Right.
and coming forward. And we have a power hour with a provider attorney.
That's a good name. We need to change this to the
Power Hour.
Power hour.
KNC Power Hour.
So
You need some music for that? Or?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's see what we got here.
This is the KNC Power Hour
ooh.
Eat some flour on a tower.
for an hour with our guests.
And Gardner.
Nice.
And Gardner, ladiesofliberty.com. Did I say that right?
Justice.
No, I'm sorry.
Ladies,
Ladies
of
of
Justice.
Justice. What about the Ladies of Liberty? Where are they?
They're nice.
They're down south.
That's a good group.
They're down south. She already knows where they are.
And Gardner.ladiesofjustice.com. And we're going to take a quick break
Okay.
and say thank you to our sponsors today. Mr. Kenneth, who do we have to say thank you to today?
We are right back to the music again, and this time talking about CM Customs. All right, we're going to embark on a journey into the realm of affordable custom gifting and branded excellence with CM Customs. From custom trophies to personalized closing gifts, lake mats, drinkware, and professional branding items, we're your go-to for unmatched customization, making you the hero of every occasion. Learn more at shopcmcustoms.com.
Man, I love that dude, Clarence at CM Customs. You've met with him, haven't
I've
you?
met with him.
That
yes.
is such a cool human, and we're not here to promote his show necessarily, but he does these things. He does these cutting boards, and he'll put your grandma's old recipe and burn it in there, and they're amazing. Like, I love what that guy does.
Oh, name tags.
Yeah. Oh, and all of our name tags.
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't it cool that we have this neat little community?
I know it is.
And Clarence is that guy in our community.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
think
always nice to have. I know a guy.
I got a guy.
I got a guy.
So you were talking about that you have like a Sunday call. So if somebody was part of your team, they could just plug in on Sundays and
They
listen.
can plug in on Sundays and listen.
It's pretty easy.
Yep.
All right. Maybe I'm missing something here, but that's so you can become affiliated with the company. You can plug in on Sundays and listen how to do it. And the product's pretty simple.
Product's pretty simple.
Yeah. My favorite part of the product was getting the will done. I've helped
Yeah.
2,000 people get their will done in my career. And that sounds like a lot, but it's not.
And they've made it so simple now.
Yeah.
It's on the app, and it saves it. I mean, so you don't have to sit there and complete it all at one time. And I didn't.
Right.
I think it took me 3 months to finally get mine done. And then every time it opened my app, it'd say, "You're 50% through with your will." I'm like,
Yeah.
so having that reminder every time you opened the app was like, okay, now I know I had to do something.
Yeah, and they do have a great app as
They do.
well. So I love to hear about Legal Shield. They are from Ada, Oklahoma originally,
Yep.
and I'm from Oklahoma originally, not far from Ada. My dad, before he passed, had lots of friends in Ada, and so that's been a big town for us. And Legal Shield's just part of the culture of that little city.
It is,
And
and they're doing tours of the home office.
Yeah,
In April.
it's
so.
such a cool little city because it's a typical Midwestern small town of, I don't know, a few thousand people, but off in the horizon is this big, 8 or 10-story building that's very modern.
It's the skyscraper.
Yeah,
of
the
Ada.
skyscraper of Ada, Oklahoma. If you haven't been there, you should go there. Well, so how do you like talk to me about personal development? You read, is everything you read about personal development?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from, I guess garbage reading. I use
Harlequin romances?
yes, those
Okay.
things.
One of my favorites. Do you watch those?
Historical romances.
Yeah, I've never been big on that stuff, but my wife watches the Hallmark Channel.
Oh, yeah.
And every show is about some lady that opens up like a little bed and breakfast, and then like the new handyman comes to town that's got a lot of muscles.
Oh,
And,
right.
one of
right.
those, and they
A little
always
glisten, a twinkle in his eye.
yeah, and they all meet at the
Yeah.
county fair and
Every time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is that city?
It's
Yeah, let me
everywhere
know.
USA.
And just to be clear, those people are going to die also and need to get their will taken care of.
Exactly.
So
That's right.
That was a really terrible segue. We're gonna.
Is it nowhere? Because there is a nowhere, Oklahoma.
Oh, there is.
Is there really?
Yes.
There is a
yeah.
nowhere.
Nowhere, Oklahoma. Well, let's. So you talked a little bit about The Power of One by Ed Milet.
Power one more.
Power of One more. Yep. Oh, there's a book called The Power of One. Yeah, Ed Milet. He is kind of a beast.
He is.
And the Kiyosaki books you've read, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the Quadrant book that he has, and those were all pivotal in my life. When you build a team of people for Legal Shield, you said that they have a book club as well?
Yes. Our team in Legal Shield, not my team, but I'm on a team, and so we have a book of the month every month,
Right.
and the whole team reads it.
What are you reading right now?
Who not how.
Okay, so that's part of
hmm
your team read.
Yeah.
That is very cool. So I want to go back and I want to go to that first moment of network marketing. That first moment where you're away from the corporate grid and it's just Ann and you kill what you eat.
Right.
Like what's going on in your mind at that point? Like
Well, that,
how are you holding up at that
I
moment?
was in a totally different world when I started um, network marketing. Okay, because I was thinking networking.
Well, or either. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an interesting moment when you go out and go, "Hey, I'm self-employed."
Right. Because
Like,
my first real self-employed was when I purchased my farmer's agency,
right?
and that was in 2015.
So that's an interesting field to come from.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm seeing this trend evolve as you do things that pay residual income.
Right.
So that gives the listener a little insight into your brain. You want to sell it once and get paid
So
forever.
exactly.
Yeah. If you're not getting paid on work you did 5 years ago, that'd be a good
Why
time to
not?
have a conversation with Ann about how to
Right.
get paid over and over and over on one set of effort.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
Farmers was that way as well. What was that like for you at Farmers? I'm sure that was a big learning
It was a
experience. They
big
have a
learning
good training system.
experience because that was right after I was laid on, or I was, I guess, severed from Walgreens. Um, I went in to talk to an insurance agent because I'd sold insurance in the past. I sold Aflac and Primerica, so I had my licenses. I just
Oh,
never
right.
sold the PNC side.
Got it.
Mm.
So I went in. I was talking to an insurance agent with the I'm going to go work for her, get my feet wet in it. And so here I'm sitting down talking to her across the table, and she's like, "Well, as a matter of fact, I'm selling my agency."
Oh,
So all of a sudden, I went from "I'm going to work for you" to like "I'm going to work for myself," you know.
wow.
And so that was my first, what, aim, fire, ready.
Yeah, yeah.
so so that was interesting, and then I learning the PNC side, and it's so competitive.
Yeah, that's it. That's been an interesting field, and we have a lot
And
of
it's
friends in
so
that.
saturated. And that was one of the things about Legal Shield that I loved is, it's not a saturated market.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like in places in Western Europe, lots of people have legal plans.
Mhm.
In America, like 3 or 4% of the people have legal plans,
Right.
yet 100% of them are going to die, and way more people are in court than are in hospitals.
Mhm.
You know,
Hmm.
Yeah,
and,
we were a very litigious society.
oh well, just all the way down to speeding tickets.
Yeah.
That's a court filing
Mhm.
and reviewing contracts and all of every time I sign a contract, I'm sent like, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
I mean, Legal
Hmm.
Shield. This is kind of funny for me. Was like the buffet line. I see the right kind of buffet, man, and like I'm pulling up. I'm gonna see how much I can get out of it, and we've used it for everything.
Mhm.
Like just where there was a potential legal benefit for me calling somebody and not having to pay for it.
Exactly.
Man, I like, hey, I don't like the way you said that to me.
Would would
Maybe I'll call my attorney.
would you like to pay by the hour or pay by the month?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and what you pay
Ooh.
in a year for Legal Shield is not even an hour
Mm-mm.
of paying an attorney.
No.
Yeah, so we had a guy down in our group in Austin, Bob, and his motto, he would go to networking groups and he'd go, "I've got attorneys and I'm not afraid to use them." That was his legal shield motto. Really great dude, Bob Sprague. Man, I miss that guy.
Oh,
Um,
that's funny.
yeah, man.
Can I steal that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That only has state and territorial boundaries, but yeah, we're way past Texas.
Yeah, because well, I mean, not just attorney. We have a law firm.
Yeah, I mean
Hmm.
that's one of the cool things about being here in the Tulsa area. We have a
Hmm.
great law firm
We
and
do have a great
people
law
that have been
firm.
in the government,
Hmm.
and they are. That is not a law firm I'd ever want to go up against,
Exactly.
and that we if I here I used Legal Shield. I don't dress very well, obviously. Not a snappy dresser, and I buy like if I find a shirt I like, I buy 5 of them.
In the
Yeah.
same color or different
Oh no,
colors?
so I've got like 10 of these. People are like, are you wearing the same clothes? No, that's how I dress. Lost a white button down arrow shirt. They probably cost $40. I had a receipt from the cleaners. They couldn't find it. Sorry. And I'm like, well, you need to pay me for it. Well, and I'm like, all right, so I want you to know I'm going to call my attorney firm and have them talk to you because I don't have time.
Right.
And the owner went, "You would call an attorney over a $40 shirt?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have to pay for it." And at the time, the legal firm in Texas is named Ross and Matthews. And I'm like, "Well, the attorney firm is named Ross and Matthews." Um, Man, and like in sometimes you don't have to use the attorney; you just have to
You
have
use their
one.
name.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love what Legal Shield's doing.
Our attorneys, we have a very long name. So if you get a letterhead and like most of it's the attorney's names, they're thinking twice before you.
Wraps on like 3 different lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. The law firm of Dewey, Cheatham and Howe. Can I say that?
No, it's not that one.
Oh, okay.
It's a different one.
It's a different one.
And we have some great attorneys in our group. I love the attorneys in our
Yes,
group, and
we
I
have
think
some
these
wonderful
things
attorneys in our
work
group.
side by side so well with each other because the attorneys that are in our group that we know, love, and trust, they don't want to be bothered at 3 a.m. with a speeding ticket.
No.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to do that to them. I love them too much.
And well, are they available at 3 a.m.? Because,
Right.
Legal Shield, you do have the 24/7 emergency access.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so I would not do that to my buddy Lynn Anderson, who helped start the
Right.
B.O.N.G group. I would not call him at 3
No.
a.m. for a speeding ticket
No.
or anything like that. I love him way too much. Well, so what inspired you about Legal Shield? Something had to grab you about it. I know it's more than making money. And this is going to be our last question here before we get your golden nugget for all of our listeners.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what inspired you about all this?
The will.
Yeah.
Having the will
Yeah.
included in the plan. And the will, the living will, the durable power of attorney, the medical power of attorney.
Right.
And it's just huge. And when I got my will back, and there was this my very favorite sentence is, and should anybody contest this will, they will get nothing.
They get nothing. Yeah.
They get nothing.
And that's in your will?
And that's in my will.
Man, we had an experience, and my father passed away 2 months ago. And this is not a sad story. It's just a story. And
Mhm.
I bought Legal Shield for my dad. He
Oh,
had
good.
full access to it.
Hmm.
Never would fill anything out. Got the will set up. Got everything set up. Dad, just sign it. I'm afraid about losing all my money, all $48. And and he never did sign it. Well, my dad had a stroke and was on life support. And
Hmm.
they said, "Do you have the medical directives and the powers of attorney?" And my brother was over in Singapore at the time, and
Oh,
he had a power of attorney for land that because we were helping him sell some property, but we did not have the power of attorney that allowed us to do what my dad wanted to have done in the event that he became
Mhm.
comatose and with low probability. In fact,
Right.
the doctor said your dad has no probability of survival.
Hmm.
It is just a matter of time. He can't breathe well. We are forcing him to stay alive. Do you have the document? And the answer was no.
No.
And we had to watch my father suffer the last 4 days of his life because, and I mean, it wasn't that we didn't have it available. For whatever reason, he chose not to do it. And I'm not griping about him. We all have our own way of doing things.
Mhm.
But when you take care of a family like that in that moment, you can't even measure what the price
Mm-mm.
or the value of that. If I'd been able to accomplish it and I failed, the outcome would have been the same at the end. But those few days where my dad had to suffer greatly and miserably
Right.
because of a signature, man, it changed me.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so glad to get you here on this show, Ann Gardner, to
Well,
talk
thank
about
you.
something that I am very passionate about.
Uh-huh.
Ann Gardner here today with Legal Shield, and is about to drop on us a golden nugget, a nugget of gold. Ann, what say you to entrepreneurs and dreamers and visionaries out of the world?
Make sure your why makes you cry.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
Why makes you cry?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you do this for your why. Why do you do this? And I think you said that on Tuesday. When your reason why, when your excuses why should be your reasons why.
Yeah, because
Well,
a lot of
can't-
people make those excuses. Why not?
Yeah, I
And-
can't do this because I have kids. I can't do this because I have a job. I can't do this because.
Yeah.
I mean, my dream is a family compound. I want to get large acreage of land and just have all my family, kids,
That is
grandkids.
a beautiful dream right there.
You know,
Hmm.
And I bet you a lot of people have that same dream, but they just don't have a means to acquire it.
right.
and you can help with both.
I can help with both.
Our guest today is Ann Gardner with Legal Shield. And Ann, thank you so much for being
Thank you,
here.
Cash. I
We
really
absolutely
appreciate this.
love visiting with you, and we've become friends. AnnGardner.ladiesofjustice.com. Kenneth, what a great show today.
Yes,
A little
absolutely.
emotional at the end. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah,
But this just happened. It's fresh.
yeah,
And that's wisdom is learning from your mistakes.
yeah,
And so today we got a big dose of wisdom, I think.
yeah,
You ready to wrap this up?
yeah.
All righty. Well, that's a wrap for today's show. And we are so thankful for our guests and our sponsors. And thank you for taking time
Thank
out
you,
to be here
Cash.
today. It can be a crazy world out there, and keeping it all together can be difficult, which is absolutely, positively why we need each other.
Yep.
And why we do community. And we hope these amazing speakers that we get to share with today can give you these nuggets of hope and a little bit of value. So today, as we go out in the world, let's be nice to each other and make good choices. And more importantly than that, today, forgive somebody that absolutely doesn't deserve it, because you have been given that same kind of forgiveness. And forgiveness is not about that other person. It's about you unchaining the anchor that's been tied around your neck for so long. Forgiveness is a beautiful thing, and more so for you. So we are forgiven. Let's do that to others. Now, Kenneth, let's get on with our day. And for our three buddies, Dennis the Red Bear and Stu Bob and Hink Dog, who are down there at the Quick Trip. And boys, by the way, thank you all for logging on and liking all of our posts on a daily basis. We love that. We'll see you back in Monster Truck chat room tonight on the Commodore 64. And Kenneth and I are going to jump in the truck and head down to Quick Trip. We'll meet you all there. Jerky's half off. You guys, thanks for being here. This show is about you.
That's our show for today. Stay tuned for another riveting edition of Cashflows.